My wife said she was visiting her mom, so why was she in a hotel lounge with a man's arm around her? I walked over, shook his hand, and said, "Thanks for watching her, she's your problem now." I'm Mark, 42, married to Sarah, 39, for 15 years. We live in Chicago with our 2 kids, Jake, 12, and Lily, 9. Our life seemed typical: school runs, soccer games, family dinners. I believed we were happy. Sarah has always been close to her mom, who lives in Milwaukee, about an hour away. Every few weeks, she'd spend the weekend there. She said it was their bonding time, and I didn't question it. I'd stay home with the kids, and we'd have our own fun, movie nights, ordering pizza, the usual. One Friday evening, Sarah was packing her overnight bag. I was folding laundry on the bed. "Heading to your mom's again?" I asked. "Yeah," she replied, not meeting my eyes. "She hasn't been feeling well lately. I want to check on her." I nodded. "Give her my love." She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and left. Saturday came, and I took the kids to the park. While they played, I chatted with another dad, Tom. Our kids were friends, so we often hung out during their playdates. "Sarah's with her mom again?" Tom asked. "Yeah," I said, watching Jake help Lily on the monkey bars. "She goes every few weeks." Tom raised an eyebrow. "That's nice of her. But isn't her mom visiting her sister in Florida this month?" I frowned. "What?" "Yeah," Tom continued. "My wife mentioned it. Sarah's aunt lives in Tampa, right?" "Yeah," I said slowly, a sinking feeling in my stomach. That evening, after putting the kids to bed, I couldn't shake the unease. I poured myself a drink and sat on the couch, staring at my phone. Should I call her? No, I didn't want to seem paranoid. But something felt off. Sunday morning, Sarah returned home. She seemed different, distant. "How's your mom?" I asked as she unpacked. "Better," she said shortly. I decided not to press. Over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle changes. Sarah was more protective of her phone. She started dressing nicer, and there were times she seemed lost in thought, smiling at nothing. One evening, she mentioned another trip to her mom's. "Again?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Yeah," she said, not elaborating. That weekend, after she left, I couldn't sit still. The nagging feeling was too much. I decided to take a drive. Maybe I'd surprise her and her mom with some flowers. As I neared Milwaukee, I realized I didn't even know her mom's exact address. Feeling foolish, I decided to turn back. On the way, I passed by a hotel we had stayed at years ago for our anniversary. On a whim, I pulled into the parking lot. I don't know what I was expecting, but as I walked into the lounge, my heart stopped. There was Sarah, laughing at something a man beside her said. His arm was draped casually around her shoulders. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stood there, frozen, watching my wife, my Sarah, being held by another man. Taking a deep breath, I approached their table. Sarah's eyes widened in shock as she saw me. "Mark," she stammered, pulling away from the man. "What are you doing here?" I ignored her and turned to the man. "Hi, I'm Mark," I said, extending my hand. He hesitated before shaking it. "Thanks for watching her, she's your problem now." Without waiting for a response, I turned and walked out, my heart pounding. The drive home was a blur. I felt numb, betrayed, angry, confused. When Sarah came home later that night, she tried to explain. "It's not what it looked like," she began. "Then what was it?" I asked coldly. She hesitated. "He's just a friend. We met at a coffee shop a few months ago. We started talking, and it just happened." I laughed bitterly. "Just a friend? Friends don't sneak around behind their spouses' backs." She started crying. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did," I said, my voice breaking. "You lied to me. To our kids. We decided to separate for a while. I needed time to think. To heal." The kids took it hard. Jake became withdrawn, and Lily kept asking when mommy was coming home. I didn't have the heart to tell them the full truth. Months passed. Sarah and I attended counseling sessions, trying to salvage what was left of our marriage. Trust was hard to rebuild, but we were both willing to try. One evening, after a particularly intense session, Sarah and I sat in the car in silence. "Do you think we can ever get back to where we were?" she asked softly. I sighed. "I don't know, but for the sake of our kids, we have to try." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I love you, Mark. I made a terrible mistake, but I want to make it right." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the image of her in that hotel lounge haunted me. Rebuilding our marriage was the hardest thing we've ever done. There were days I wanted to give up, days when the pain felt too fresh. But then I'd look at our kids and remember why we were fighting so hard. It's been 2 years since that fateful day. Sarah and I are still together, but things are different. Trust isn't something that's easily regained. But we're working on it, one day at a time. If there's one thing I've learned from this ordeal, it's that communication is vital. If Sarah had come to me with her feelings of dissatisfaction or whatever led her to seek comfort elsewhere, maybe things would have been different. To anyone reading this, cherish your loved ones, communicate openly, and never take trust for granted. It's fragile, and once broken, it's a long road to repair. A few weeks after that night in the car, when Sarah told me she wanted to make things right, I started noticing more things that didn't add up. It was small stuff at first. Her phone was always on silent now, even when she was home. She'd take it with her to the bathroom. If I walked into the room, she'd quickly close whatever app she was using. When I asked her about it, she said she was just trying to avoid distractions, but it didn't feel right. One Saturday morning, while she was taking a shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I shouldn't have looked, I know that, but I did. The text was from someone saved as Jin from yoga. It read, "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about it." My hands started shaking. I waited until she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, her hair wet. "Who's Jin from yoga?" I asked. Her eyes widened for half a second before she pulled it together. "A friend I met at the studio." "Why?" I handed her the phone. "You sure about that?" She looked at the message and froze. "It's not what it looks like," she said again. "Then tell me what it is, because it looks a hell of a lot like you're still seeing someone." She sat down on the bed and didn't speak for a long time. When she finally did, her voice was quiet. "His name's Ryan. We've been talking again, but nothing happened. I swear." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "You told me you were trying. You said you wanted to fix this." "I do," she said. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I already broke it beyond repair." "So you gave up?" I said. "No," she said quickly. "I didn't give up. I'm just lost." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I stood up, got dressed, and left the house. I drove aimlessly for over an hour before pulling into a gas station. I sat there in the car for a while, just breathing. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I stayed at my brother's place. When I told him what happened, he didn't say anything at first. Then he just looked at me and said, "You already gave her one second chance. You really want to offer a third?" That question stayed with me. The next morning, I went back home to see the kids. Sarah was in the kitchen, trying to act normal. She made pancakes. Jake barely looked at her. Lily asked if we could all go to the park later, like old times. After the kids went to their rooms, I asked her, "Are you still in contact with him?" She didn't answer. That was my answer. A few days later, I met Ryan. It wasn't on purpose. I was picking up coffee before heading into work, and there he was, sitting at a corner table in the Starbucks downtown. I recognized him from the hotel. He looked up from his laptop and froze when he saw me. I walked over. "You're Ryan, right?" He nodded, unsure what to say. "I'm Mark, Sarah's husband." He stood up. "Listen, I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "Yeah," I said. "Because it's been happening for a while now, hasn't it?" "I thought she said you were separated." "Did she also tell you we were trying to fix things? That we were in therapy? That she still comes home to our kids every night?" He looked genuinely uncomfortable. "I didn't know it was like that." "Well, it is," I said. "And whatever happens from here, you should know, if she's lying to me, she's probably lying to you too." He didn't say anything after that. That evening, I told Sarah I met him. She didn't seem surprised. "Did he say anything?" "Yeah," I said. "He said he didn't know we were still trying." "Did you tell him that?" "No," she said softly. "I didn't want to complicate things." Too late. The next few weeks were chaos. I stopped going to therapy. I couldn't sit there anymore pretending I was the only one doing the work. I started sleeping on the couch. The kids noticed. Jake stopped asking questions. Lily just cried more at night. One day, I got a call from Jake's school. He had gotten into a fight. When I picked him up, he wouldn't talk. It wasn't until bedtime that he finally said, "Is Mom leaving?" I didn't know what to say. Then things took another turn. My mom called me and said Sarah had stopped by her house. She said she wanted to clear the air with my parents. My mom said she seemed scared. She was talking fast, said she made mistakes, and kept asking if my parents hated her now. I hadn't told them everything. I didn't want to involve them in this mess. But now Sarah was dragging them in, and it felt like another line had been crossed. A week later, I got an anonymous email. It had a photo. Sarah and Ryan, sitting in a different hotel lounge. From just 2 nights ago. No message. No sender. Just the photo. When I showed it to her, she didn't even deny it. "Yes," she said. "I was with him. But I went to tell him it was over." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. But I couldn't. I told her to pack a bag. She cried. She begged. She asked me not to do this to the kids. "I'm not doing this," I said. "You did." She left that night. And now here I am. Still in the house. Still with the kids. Still picking up the pieces. And somehow, I don't even feel anger anymore. Just emptiness. But I know the storm isn't over. Not even close. About 2 weeks after Sarah moved out, things started to settle into a new kind of normal. The kids were still hurting, but at least there was less tension in the house. I focused on keeping their routine stable, school drop-offs, homework, dinners together. I was trying to create peace, even if it didn't feel peaceful inside me. Then something weird happened. One afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, when I listened to it, a woman's voice said, "Hi, this is Melissa. I don't know how to say this, but I think your wife is seeing my husband. Please call me." I sat there for a long time just staring at my phone. I called her back. Melissa answered right away. She told me her husband was Ryan. Same Ryan. She said she found Sarah's text on his old iPad, which was still connected to his cloud. She said she'd known something was off for months, but when she saw a message from Sarah saying, "I wish we didn't have to sneak around anymore," she lost it. Melissa wasn't yelling. She wasn't crying. She sounded like someone who had moved past hurt into a place of cold understanding. "I just thought you should know," she said. "Because I think they're still in contact. Even now." "They're both lying to us," I said. Yes, she replied. They deserve each other. I thanked her. I don't even know why. Maybe because hearing it from someone else made me feel less crazy. That same night, I went through the rest of Sarah's things. I found a notebook in one of the boxes she left behind. Inside, there were pages torn out, but the ones that remained were filled with thoughts. Private thoughts. Confessions. She wrote about feeling stuck, about not knowing who she was anymore, about craving something exciting, something that made her feel alive again. She also wrote something that stopped me cold. Ryan says we should disappear together. Sometimes I think about it. Disappear? I called her. She answered on the second ring. Mark, are you planning on leaving the country with Ryan? There was a long silence. What are you talking about? I found your notebook. More silence. I didn't mean any of that, she finally said. I was just writing. You know I write when I'm confused. Did you, or did you not plan to leave with him? No, she said. We talked about it, but it was just talk. You were going to take the kids? Of course not, she snapped. How could you even think that? I didn't answer. I just hung up. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. I had quietly started the divorce paperwork a week earlier, just in case. She said Sarah's attorney had contacted her. Sarah was now asking for joint custody and wanted to keep the house. I couldn't believe it. She had moved out. She left us. And now she wanted to come back and take half of everything? It got messy. Court dates. Mediation sessions. I had to dig through everything. Messages, photos, timelines. I printed out the emails. I asked Melissa to send me more proof. She did. But here's the real twist. One night, around 10 p.m., there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Ryan. I opened the door, confused and ready for a fight. He looked rough, tired, a small cut under his eye. Can we talk? He asked. No, I need to tell you something. You deserve to know. I didn't let him in, but I stepped outside. He took a deep breath. I ended things with Sarah. For good. But it wasn't easy. She got intense. What do you mean? She started showing up at my work. At my apartment. She told Melissa lies. Said I was stalking her. Said I threatened her. None of it's true. I have texts. Voicemails. Everything. Why are you telling me this? Because she's unraveling, he said. And if she's trying to mess with me, she might try to do the same to you. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. He pulled out his phone and played a voicemail. It was Sarah's voice, angry and slurred. You said we were going to leave. You said we were going to start fresh. Now you're just like him. You're weak. You're both weak. I stood there in the cold, listening. Then he said, she needs help. Serious help. And maybe now, you can finally stop blaming yourself. He walked away after that. And I stood there wondering how long I had been lying to myself. Because maybe it wasn't just a broken marriage. Maybe it was a person breaking apart right in front of me. And maybe I had to stop trying to fix her. Because some people don't want to be fixed. Some people want to watch everything around them fall apart just to feel something. And I wasn't going to be part of that anymore. But this story isn't over. Not even close. It all came to a head on a Friday evening in early November. The weather had just started turning. Cold enough to sting your face, but not enough to bring snow. I had just gotten back from picking Lily up from her piano class, and Jake was on the couch, headphones in, playing a game on his tablet. I was making grilled cheese sandwiches when I heard a knock at the door. It was Sarah. I hadn't seen her in almost 3 weeks. We were still going through the legal motions, still texting only about the kids, still existing in that weird in-between space where everything feels suspended. But there she was. No call. No warning. Just standing there in a wool coat with that same notebook in her hand, the one I'd found her thoughts in. Can we talk? She asked. I let her in, mostly because the kids were home. She glanced around the house like she missed it. We sat at the dining table. The kids were in their rooms. She put the notebook down and slid it toward me. I need to explain, she said. I don't think there's anything left to explain. Yes, there is, she insisted. You need to know why it all happened. Why I became the person. I sat back. Said nothing. I've been lying to you, to myself, to everyone, she said. When I met Ryan, it wasn't love. It wasn't passion. It was escape. I was scared. I felt like I was dying in this life, house, kids, routines, all of it. I know it sounds selfish, and maybe it is, but I was losing my mind. She wiped her face. Tears were already spilling over. I never stopped loving you, Mark. I swear. But I hated who I was. I hated that I didn't know how to ask for help. I'm going to a counselor now. On my own. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. Then she left. The next day, the storm really hit. Melissa, the wife of Ryan, showed up at Jake's soccer game. She came over while I was setting up my lawn chair, with her arms folded tight across her chest. You should know, she said. Sarah's been trying to contact Ryan again. I told her if she didn't stop, I'd get a restraining order. I sighed. She told me she ended it. She probably believes that. Until she doesn't again. Later that afternoon, Sarah showed up at the game, too. She didn't see Melissa until they were both walking to the bleachers. What happened next was straight out of a movie. Melissa walked right up to her. Still playing house with married men? She said, loud enough for other parents to hear. Sarah froze, eyes wide. Still texting him? Or are you working on husband number 3 now? A few people turned. I stood up and got between them. That's enough, I said to Melissa. Sarah looked like she was about to cry, but she held it in. I didn't come here for a scene, she said. No, Melissa said, backing up. You just always manage to create one. After Melissa walked off, Sarah turned to me. This is never going away, is it? No, I said. Because you never really ended it. She didn't respond. She left the game early. That night, Jake came into my room. Why does everyone hate Mom? I closed my eyes for a second. No one hates her. People are just hurt. Are you going to hate her forever? I pulled him in close. I don't know, but I'll never hate you or Lily. Ever. In the weeks that followed, things slowly came into focus. The divorce went through. Sarah moved into a small apartment not far from the kids' school. We agreed on a fair custody schedule. She stuck with her therapy. She stayed away from Ryan. Or at least, I think she did. Melissa moved out of state with her 2 kids. I heard through a friend that Ryan followed her, but she filed for separation anyway. The kids are adjusting. Jake's quieter, more thoughtful. Lily's still full of questions, but she smiles more now that the fighting stopped. As for me, I started seeing a therapist too. At first, I thought I was just going to be angry forever. But somewhere in the middle of one of those sessions, I realized I wasn't just angry at Sarah. I was angry at myself. For not seeing it. For not listening. For ignoring the signs. But that's behind me now. I've learned that love isn't enough. It takes honesty. Vulnerability. And when one person checks out, the other can't carry it alone. I don't know if Sarah and I will ever be friends again. Maybe one day. But right now, we're co-parents. That's our role. And we're doing okay at it. Some nights, after the kids are asleep, I still think about the moment I saw her in that hotel lounge. How everything shifted in a second. But I don't stay stuck there anymore. I'm moving forward. Sarah and I are officially divorced. The trust is gone. The love, maybe, is still buried somewhere, but it's not enough anymore. I'm focusing on being a good father and learning to be okay on my own. I'm not hopeful or hopeless. I'm just honest with myself this time. And that's a start.